Hi. So this is a work integrated learning industry workshop. You are either interested in work integrated learning, and so this video presentation workshop has ended up in front of you, or you are already engaged. You are about to receive some students on placement, internship, degree apprenticeships, or you already do have them and you're now doing a workshop to know how to work with the institution and the students. There's a lot out there on this. I'm pretty sure the institution has given you a whole load of briefing documents. This video is really just to try and capture from my own perspective two key benefits in terms of being involved in work integrated learning from an industry perspective. Look, research says to us at the moment that when industry receives graduates from the university, they know a lot about the subject of education, business management, nursing, policing, but they don't always know how to be within the professional context. Unprofessional language, unprofessional behavior, poor management skills, poor communication skills, and somehow they are missing out on developing what we call employability skills along the way. One of the benefits, of course, of a university education is, yes, you are getting a skilled graduate in terms of knowledge, but if the university is facilitating this process effectively, you are getting a graduate who has been professionally socialized. They should now know how to communicate effectively, properly, regulate their emotions, all of these different kinds of things that come with a very good university program. You are engaging with the institution, maybe because you want contacts with the institution, they're in your area. It helps raise the profile of your business. Again, research says to us that within work integrated learning, I've just got my hands on a 2021 published book, the Student Handbook for Work-Based Learning. Not a bad resource if you want, as a company, want to get hold of this. Give you some really good ideas of how to work with students on these kinds of placements, programs, and so on. But they say to us in the research that an overlooked area of industry and preparation is that of small, medium enterprises and startups. Now, one thing we do know at the moment about the younger generations, and this is a book that I edited and published in as well, published in 2021. We looked at applications of work integrated learning from around the world. So we've got case studies here from Australia, Canada, Europe, America, India, and we looked at generation Y and Z, and we realized that for a lot of them, and research shows this, they are interested in entrepreneurial industry. They are very creative, but they're very collaborative. They want to learn collaboratively. So with that context in mind, I want to get you to think about your engagement with university students in two particular ways. There are loads of others, and I'm sure your institution may cover these, and I'm sure that you'll find material online to cover these as the books that I've shown you. But there are two things that I want to raise. Number one, engaging with university students enables you to get early access to talent. Now, if you've got a policy within your company in terms of talent management, and you're struggling to get the kinds of graduates that fit your company, and you're frustrated that the job applications coming in is not quite what you're after, get into the game early and influence the process, which is benefit number two. This enables you to work with the institution not only in terms of their curriculum development, making sure that the modules are addressing what you require as an industry, but in terms of these students coming to your context where you can shape and mold and see them. Now, if there's a young man or woman who is working within your company and maybe a little bit rough on the edges, maybe not, and you're going, wow, this gives you an opportunity not to have to wait for applications where you don't get to see the candidate because you first got a short list and so on. This gives you early access to talent, which you could be part of the process, which is benefit number two, in molding them for your particular industry. Now, of course, this does mean that you are aware of your own industry and the trends and where you need to be moving in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of your trajectories. and you're considering the impact of technology on this, Web 5.0 technology and so on, and you are aware of the emerging labor force, which is Gen Y and Z. This enables not only for access to the talent, but how this talent can influence you as a company, and you are all part of that process from the beginning. Now, I'm going to unpack this for you a little bit, and if you're using this as a workshop, maybe you're sitting down with workplace mentors who are going to be working with degree apprentices. This will give you an opportunity to think through some of the strategies that you are going to have in place in terms of your own talent development through these processes. So, this is not a long workshop, but what I want you to do is individually, first and foremost, think about these three particular areas. Now, again, this is not an exhaustive list. There's loads of others that you could add on around this, but I want you to think about this individually and then compare notes and then have a group discussion around how you are taking advantage of this opportunity, either in terms of a degree apprenticeship, cooperative education, placements, internships, etc., etc. The first one is the experience curve. Now, this is a really important element within understanding businesses, the capability of the business. You want to be able to set yourself apart in your market, particularly if it's a competitive market, and part of that competition, that competitive advantage, is the capability that exists within your company. Every company is different. I've worked in many different companies, many different sectors, from the charity to training and development, and now in academia. And even as a senior academic, a freelance academic working among a number of universities, they all feel different. They feel different in terms of what it is they're seeking to achieve, particularly if they're part of a bigger institution. And for example, the business department or the educational department is only one faculty among many. It feels very different. The people they recruit to work there creates a different feel. And how they are engaging with industry and their students, again, creates a very different feel. Now, you are just one element of that as an industry partner. You are enabling one of these students to come and work within your company, one or two or three or however many, and they are bringing with them the institutional culture, but that needs to somehow fit and work with the culture that you have within your own company. It would be worth you to consider, what is your company? What makes your company capable in terms of what it's made up of? Let me give you an example. I work with one particular university, they're a college, where they have two different faculties. They have a business school and they have a animation studio. They're the only one in the UK that has this combination, a business school and an animation studio. So, animations for film industry, advertising, you name it. What they have is a very unique capability which they need to bring together to use for their own competitive advantage. There is no other college in the UK, no other university that has this combination. The business students can work with the animation studios in terms of business management, marketing, but the animation students could work with the students in terms of creating products or services which uses technology more effectively, particularly in terms of the world of animation. It's a capability that they have, which they should use, because nobody else has it. If you think about your company, what makes your company different from the other companies within your industry? And what will the student pick up as they begin to be a part of your company culture? How does what you are gaining as a company get shared across the entire company, particularly if you're a large company? This is the experience curve. And bringing all of this learning together enables the company to continue to increase in its productivity in terms of its human resource management, but also in terms of the product or services it's producing. And the placement student is coming to be a part of that. How will you draw on their experience, even as a novice, their perception, what they experience as somebody coming in from the outside. How will you draw from that learning, enable that learning to be shared more broadly within your company? I live in the UK, and we have these programs on television about the undercover boss. So this is where a big CEO goes undercover to work within his own company so that he can come in not as the CEO, but as a person who's looking to work in the transport or looking to work in customer service. And they are coming in, looking at it and hearing blind feedback from employees who don't realize they're the CEO to get a real feel of where their company is at. The student who's coming in to work within your company to gain experience of the industry, they are literally almost as if a novice CEO, and they can give you so much good information about how they perceive your company in ways that this is good stuff that you can get your hands onto. So pause the video maybe for a minute or two and think about how will you gain from having a student in your midst in terms of the experience curve. And when you learn from that student and they are learning what your company is all about, how will that learning be spread throughout your company in terms of the experience curve? Right, category number 2. This is Senge. Peter Senge talks about learning organizations. I teach human resource management. I've been involved in training and development in my past. And the way in which a company grows overall is dependent on the culture within the company in terms of learning. Is the company set up like silos and everybody just does their little thing in their little corner, which often breeds the sentiment that people come in to do a job to get a salary and they go home. There's no real buy-in. There's no real sense of we're part of something larger which we want to be a part of. It does something in the world. How do you create that sense of learning organizations? Now, what has again got this to do with a student who's going to be on a placement or an apprenticeship within your company? Well, 2 things. Number 1, how does the student pick up what your organization feels like in terms of a learning organization? Do they feel that your organization is open to learn, to change, to be flexible, to be agile? And how will you create a learning process for the student within your organization that will enable them to grow quickly and fast and to pick up within your organization? And again, to take what they are learning, similar to the experience curve, and share that across your organization in terms of this newcomer and what they are learning and what they are experiencing. Where is your organization in terms of its culture, in terms of a learning organization? Pause the video and write down some of your thoughts and ideas on this. The third and final category that I'd like you to think about is the emerging labor force. What do you know about Gen Z and why? What drives them? What do they find easy? What do they find difficult? How do they work? And particularly, how is technology involved in their thinking and in their working? In most cases, your placement or internship or degree apprentice will be from this particular generation. How are you going to take advantage of learning as much as you can as a business from this emerging labor force? Number 1, what you do learn, how will you share that in terms of the experience curve? And how will you create that as part of your learning organization? You can learn so much about their attitudes around leadership, what they consider as values within their work. There are 2 key things about this generation. They're all about sustainability and ethics, and they like to do things collaboratively, and they're very entrepreneurial in the way in which they do that. Write down some ideas. What do you know about the emerging labor force? And how will this labor force be a part of your company? Particularly drawing from these apprentices or placement students or internship students that will be with you. Write down your ideas. Great. So hopefully you as individuals, you've written down your ideas about the company's experience curve, the company's culture in terms of learning, and what you would understand in terms of the emerging labor force, Gen Y and Z. What I'd like you to do now is take these ideas and go back to these two benefits. Considering the learning curve, your culture as a company in terms of learning, and this emerging labor force, how are you explicitly designing, welcoming, structuring the time that you will have with these placement, internship, degree apprenticeship students in order for you to have access to what could be potentially talent that you can then offer full-time employment to once this experience is finished? How could you also be part of influencing the institution and this young person in terms of making them aware of the real world of work and how they can be a part of shaping your company for the future in terms of web technologies as well as the emerging labor force, and how all of this can be communicated through your organization in terms of the learning experience curve as well as a learning organization. This is where I leave you. It's a short little workshop, but I just wanted to throw these little ideas there for you. Please have a group conversation around these ideas and then get practical. How are you explicitly going to be shaping the time period that you will have this young talent in your midst? Don't be like a person who shoots an arrow up in the air hoping to hit a bird. Be explicit about what you're seeking to gain out of the experience. What are you going to give to them? What are you going to gain from them in terms of the experience? And who are the best people to be using as managers, as mentors for this young talent? You potentially could be making life much easier for yourself. Thank you.